This will be second call, Class 2 market goats. Second call, Class 2 market goats. Okay, this will be last call for Class 2 market goats. Last call, Class 2 market goats. Results of Class 1 market goats. In sixth place, David Lawson, Dripping Springs 4-H. Fifth place, Jose Benjamin Soto, West San Marcos 4-H. Fourth place, Tanner Jackson, Dripping Springs 4-H. Third place, Cedriona Drachenberg, Jack C. Hayes FFA. Second place, Lawson Henry, Dripping Springs 4-H. And your class winner out of Class 1 goes to Miss Gracie Locke from the Wimberley 4-H. Congratulations. We will have first and second place goats come back to the holding pen for the Division I champion drive after we finish Class 3. This will be first call for Class 3 market goats. First call, Class 3 market goats. This will be second call, Class 3 market goats. Second call, Class 3 market goats.
A little more difficult sort here within this class because I think we've just kind of got one of every speed, and it's just kind of where you lay your priorities and how you sort this class. For me, I think the one that wins here again, the one that's just the hardest to knock a hole in, I think she's a doe that offers some stoutness down low. She's the most unique probably in her pattern as you step off to the side of them. Just really uniform and proportional in terms of her lines from her forerib back to her flank. And then I think she still has enough shape and dimension up top for me to go ahead and use. Now, the one that comes out in 2, I'll call the power goat. She's the stoutest in terms of her foot and bone work. She's the boldest bodied. She's the one that's the most creased up and just rolling down the top side of her skeleton. For me, though, when you step right in behind her, she doesn't carry that same width and dimension out of her pin set. She wants to wedge just a little bit back there. And more concerning for me is when we step off to the side of that one, she's the one that looks the most compact and conventional in her overall makeup. She wants to roll up in her top and get a little tight back there at her loin. The one that comes out in 3, I think, kind of fits the type and kind of the winner. Just one that profiles with a little more extension, has a little more look and presence from profile. For me, though, that one just runs out of gas from a power standpoint. Of the top 4 out here, that one's easily the most closed up in her chest. She wedges the most as she sets down from behind. Just need a shot more power for me to really buy into that one's kind. The weather that comes out in 4 is probably the one that works the most shape down the top side of his skeleton. Love the terminal merit that one offers. He just comes in a few more pieces. He's really tall-fronted, gets a little upright in his shoulder, then gets a little dippy in his back, then rolls up in his top, and then gets a little steeper in his pins. Just like to flatten that one out, make him look a little smoother as we step off to the side of him. Nice class of goats, though. Congratulations to all of you.
This will be last call for Class 3 market goats. Last call, Class 3 market goats. The results of Class 2. 7th place, Octavian Quesada, Dripping Springs 4-H. 6th place, Seth Herzog, Dripping Springs FFA. 5th place, Faith Henry, Wimberley 4-H. 4th place, Nolan Moore, Buda 4-H. 3rd place, Jimmy Brettnacher, Dripping Springs 4-H. 2nd place is Avery Wymore from the Wimberley 4-H. And your class winner out of Class 2 market goats is Marlena Moore from the Buda 4-H. Congratulations, exhibitors. And then we will have 1st and 2nd place out of that class come back for the Division I drive after Class 3.
Now, we really stepped the quality up in this particular class, and primarily up here with this top pair, but I still think within the pair there's easily a clear-cut winner. The young ladies, whether that's out here, just dominates the class and checks all the boxes. No matter where you want to study that one, he just exudes quality. He's extremely wide and square and genuine in terms of his build. He's the boldest bodied. He's the biggest backed. He's the biggest ended. He's the most appropriate in terms of his degree of finish. And then when you step off to the side of that one, I think he just paints the best picture and portrays the most proportionality as you step back from profile. Now, the one that comes in second, I think, can rival him from a power standpoint. And when you just talk about pounds of red meat, I think there may be just as much as in the one that rides in second. For me, he just comes in a few more pieces from a build standpoint. He doesn't tie nearly as neatly there in the top side of his shoulder into his neck. He's still got a little more lower shoulder. And then most concerning for me, that one gets considerably shorter and steeper out of his hip, gets a little more upright in the way that he uses his hock. Now, the one that comes out in three, that's the big extended one that offers lots and lots of extension. So neat-necked and flat in terms of the way he ties into his shoulder. He just doesn't open up with enough power compared to the two that are ahead of him. He just makes a nice spot and finds a home there in third. The paint, kind of the same story there, big, long, extended. Really love that one's look from the side. Just here again, as has been common for that fourth place spot, just kind of runs out of gas today. Not nearly as dimensional there through his lower rib and chest floor. Just doesn't ever allow him to open up with enough power for me today. Nice class with a real good pair up top. Congratulations to you.
Okay, we need Gracie Locke and Lawson Henry out of Class 1. And we need Marlena Moore and Avery Wymore out of Class 2. And we will need Megan Hernandez and J.W. Hernandez back out of Class 3 for the Division 1 champion and reserve champion drive. That's first and second place goats out of Class 1, 2, and 3. Please check in. And this will be first call for Class 4 market goats. First call, Class 4 market goats. Results from Class 3 market goats. 9th place, Anastasia Ambule from Wimberley FFA. 8th place, Tanner Jackson, Dripping Springs 4-H. 7th place, Ashlyn Brinkley, Buda 4-H. 6th place, Randall Spencer, Buda 4-H. 5th place, Cody Brown, Buda 4-H. 4th place, Marlena Moore, Buda 4-H. 3rd place, Clay Plumley from Buda 4-H. Your second place goes to J.W. Hernandez from the Buda 4-H. And your class winner out of Class 3 market goats is Megan Hernandez from Buda 4-H. We will now be having the Division 1 champion and reserve champion drive. And this will be second call for Class 4 market goats. Our Division 1 champion belt buckle has been sponsored by Hernandez Boar Goats. That's Anthony and Sonia Hernandez. And Reserve Division Champion 1 is sponsored by Hill Country Wastewater Services. All right, out of Class 1, we have Gracie Locke from Wimberley 4-H. Out of Class 2, we have Marlena Moore from the Buda 4-H. And representing Class 3, we have Megan Hernandez out of the Buda 4-H, all class winners. Second place in Class 1 belongs to Lawson Henry from Dripping Springs 4-H. Second place out of Class 2 belongs to Avery Wymore, Wimberley 4-H. And second place out of Class 3 goes to J.W. Hernandez from the Buda 4-H. This will be for the Division I champion and reserve champion drive.
Yeah, I think we get these lightweights out here, and there's certainly 6 of them that I think we can find some merit in. Just a little differences in terms of maturity and where they are today, and in terms of market readiness for me. I think there's a pair of them that just kind of stand out. Just in terms, like I said, of their finish, their squareness, their body and build. I think there's just a pair of them that fit together a little nicer for me. The 2 out of your heaviest class will be your champion in reserve. Congratulations.
Okay, your Division I champion goes to Megan Hernandez from Buda 4-H, and reserve champion Division I goes to J.W. Hernandez from Buda 4-H. Congratulations to those exhibitors. This will be second call for Class 4 Market Goats. Second call, Class 4 Market Goats. Okay, this will be last call, Class 4 Market Goats. Last call, Class 4 Market Goats. We have 10 entries in this class. Once again, our Division I champion belt buckle was sponsored by Hernandez Boar Goats. That's Anthony and Sonia Hernandez. And Reserve Division Champion 1 was sponsored by Hill Country Wastewater Services. Thanks again for those sponsors. We appreciate your help and support. Omar Rojas, West San Marcos 4-H. We need you at the check-in station. Your class is about to enter the ring. Omar Rojas. Okay, class is full. Thank you. This will be first call, Class 5 market goats. First call, Class 5 market goats, and there are 6 entries in that class. This will be second call for Class 5 market goats. Second call, Class 5.
A nice class to sort through here, and I'm going to go ahead and side with the one that I just think looks the most like a show goat. The young lady out here in the sweater, I think just brings the one to me that just hits me the hardest and has the most ring presence. Is he the stoutest in terms of his foot and bone work? Probably not. Would I still like to see him just a notch more flexible in the way that he goes about his rear skeleton? Probably just a tick. But I think the rest of his build is what I'm most sold on. I think he's the most proportional from profile. I think he's the one that creases with the most shape. Like I said, just think that one looks the most like a show goat out here. I'm going to go ahead and ride with that one. There's a bigger stouted footer option that comes here in second, and one that I think matches from a muscle mass standpoint to what the class winner has working up top. For me, that one's build is just not my speed. He's probably a little longer in the way that his shoulder's designed. Just gets a little higher in terms of his chine bone. Gets a little deeper there in his chest in relation to Shallon back up at his flank compared to the one that's just ahead of him. But a nice project to be there in second. In terms of practical market fundamentals, the doe that's here in third has some utility. She's as wide as anything. She's as big pinned, maybe the stoutest in terms of her of where she sets down at the surface. To me, though, she's just a little staler in her appearance, maybe just a little rougher in terms of her skin. Consequently, doesn't grab as firm and fresh as the two that are just ahead of her, but a nice practical kind of market goat. The one that comes out in 4, another stout one, down low, but just comes in a few more pieces, wedges the wrong way for me. And then when you get right in behind him, that one wants to funnel back in his pin set just a little bit. Some goats further down the line here again. Just immaturity kind of proves to be their downfall. Give them a little more time on feed. I think we can turn them around. Nice class with a good winner. Congratulations.
All right, this will be last call. Last call. Class 5 market goats. Last call. Ella Sandoval, we're missing you for Class 5. Okay, I think she's here. Okay, results from Class 4 are as follows. 9th place, Annie Novak, Wimberley FFA. 8th place, Elijah Morgan from Dripping Springs 4-H. 7th place, Annalie Lombardo, West San Marcos 4-H. 6th place, Jax Myers, Dripping Springs FFA. 5th place, Jewel Locke, Wimberley 4-H. 4th place, Macy Cheshire, Wimberley 4-H. 3rd place, Analia Lombardo, West San Marcos 4-H. 2nd place belongs to Ali Kirky from the Dripping Springs FFA. And your class winner out of Class 4 belongs to Miss Quincy Rains from Dripping Springs 4-H. Class 5 is in the ring. We need first call, Class 6 market goats. First call, Class 6 market goats. This will be second call, Class 6 market goats. Second call, Class 6 market goats.
Now, this pair becomes a little closer to me than I initially thought, but I do think it's a pair, and they're totally different. The painted wether I'm going to lead off with one ear, I think that one's just a little deceptive. I don't think that one's the way the paint comes over that one's hip. It absolutely does him zero favors. That thing gives the illusion that he's a little shorter and steeper out of his hip than he probably really is. And so I had to study that and evaluate that probably a little more just to make sure that I was reading into that one correctly. But I think that he's one that's just the most dense. He's the most powerful. He just offers the most meat animal product. And I still think that despite the paint throwing him off in his hip there, I still think that he proportions up with enough balance from profile for me to go ahead and call that one the most complete. The one that comes in second, I think she makes a case because when you set these things into motion, I think she's more ideal in terms of the way that she operates out of her hip and hind leg. I think she's flatter hipped. I think she's square from hip to hock to ground. I think she's one that's a little more dynamic in terms of her underline. But I guess for me, when we get our hands on him, she's not nearly as smooth as the one that's just ahead of her. She's a little rougher where she ties from her loin back into her hip. Wants to be a little more accentuated there in terms of her jump muscle. If we could smooth that one up top and make it match how smooth she is in her underline, I think that we could certainly make a case to switch the pair. The painted up one that comes out in in 3, the kind of sandy paint there. I think that one offers some length and extension profile. I think that one balances up well enough. For me here again, just kind of not the mass, not the power, not the shape that we see in the two that are ahead of him. I think, like I said, the 3 and 4 decision was just as hard as the first and second. I think that one, I'll give that one the nod in terms of the way that his hind leg's shaped compared to the paint doe directly behind him. A nice doe there that's got some shape and dimension up high. She just gets a little in terms of her hind leg, wants to stab her hock down. You step right in front of him, she's a little more closed up there through her chest and the base of her rib. Nice class there. Congratulations to all of you.
All right, this will be last call, Class 6. We have 6 entries in Class 6. Last call. Results of Class 5. 6th place, Kimion Cooks. from Dripping Springs 4-H. Fifth place, Ella Sandoval, Wimberley 4-H. Fourth place, Halen Brown from Buda 4-H. Third place, Brandon Hicklin from Dripping Springs 4-H. Second place is Easton Davey from Buda 4-H. And your class winner out of Class 5 is Morgan Hernandez from Buda 4-H. Congratulations. We will need Quincy Raines and Allie Kirky back to the holding pen for out of Class 4 for the Division 2 drive. And then we will need Morgan Hernandez and Easton Davey out of Class 5 back to the holding pen for the Division 2 champion drive. Class 6 is in the ring at this time. Our Division Champion 2 belt buckle is sponsored by the West San Marcos Dove Hunt Foundation. And Reserve Champion Division 2 is donated by Ben and Terry Brown. We need to thank those sponsors for sponsoring those belt buckles for these division winners.
Well, maybe not just a clear-cut winner within this particular lineup, but I think one that I can still buy into from a skeletal standpoint. Whether that's the tallest front and the longest neck, just makes his strongest case from profile. I think he maintains himself the most level from his shoulder back. I think he operates the most functional on his hind leg. I think he's one of the squarest when you step right in behind him. Now, he may not have the most fresh shape working down the top side of his skeleton, but I think he's got more than enough. And like I said, it's that one's build I was the most sold on. The one that rides in second, I think, kind of fixes the flaws of the class winner just in terms of a shape and terminal merit standpoint. One that just creases a little more shape up high. But when you step, especially to this angle right here, that thing just got to be opened up underneath a little more. Just not nearly genuine enough in terms of his width from the top of his skeleton down to his foundation. Just got to pry that one apart, both coming and going, for me to really tie into. Width and power is not the problem for the doe that comes in third. I think she's probably the most opened up, the boldest bodied, and the biggest ended of anything that we have in class. Her problem is she just doesn't come with enough neat neat look and neat pieces from the side. She's too jammed up in the lower part of her shoulder. She's too round out of her hip, and it gets plain in the way that she operates out of her hind leg. Some goats further down the line, we're just going to have to modify structurally for me to consider working up, but I still think have some merit and some feedable pieces. Nice class. Congratulations to all of you.
All right, the results of Class 6. Sixth place, Trent Henry, Dripping Springs 4-H. Fifth place, Clay Plumley, Buda 4-H. Fourth place, Kent Wymore, Wimberley 4-H. Third place, Mackenzie Giesen, Wimberley FFA. Second place is Ashlyn Brinkley out of Buda 4-H. And your class winner out of Class 6 is Eve Conley from Wimberley 4-H. At this time, we'll need the first and second place goats out of Class 4, 5, and 6 to come back to the ring for the Division II champion drive. And this will be first call for Class 7. First call, Class 7 market goats. Okay, your winner out of Class 4 is Quincy Raines from Dripping Springs. Your first place out of Class 5 is Morgan Hernandez from Buda 4-H. And your first place out of Class 6 is Eve Conley from Wimberley 4-H. Your second place out of Class 4 goes to Allie Kirky, Dripping Springs FFA. Second place out of Class 5 is Easton Davey from the Buda 4-H. And second place out of Class 6 is Ashlyn Brinkley from the Buda 4-H.
We got in the second division. I think I'm extremely pleased with the lineup that we've got. Like I talked when I started the day, perhaps not going to all look the same, but I think that these are the highest quality 6 that we had to work through within this particular drive. I think that there's a couple, 2 or 3 of them out here that just fit me a little better. One in particular, I just think that one looks the most, gives me the most promise. I think in terms of build and balance, just makes the most sense to use this one. I think he's the most proportional from profile. I think he works the most honest meat animal shape down the top side of his skeleton. Then the one I'm going to use for reserve, I think just follows nicely. Just from a practical meat animal standpoint, one that's big and bold and wide underneath and has some mass and dimension up high. I'll go show you the 2 I like, but congratulations to all of you.
All right, your Division II winner comes out of Class 4. That's Miss Quincy Raines from Dripping Springs 4-H. And your reserve Division II champion goes to Morgan Hernandez from out of Class 5 from Buda 4-H. Congratulations. This will be last call for Class 7 market goats. Last call, Class 7 market goats. Once again, our Division II champion belt buckle was donated and sponsored by West San Marcos Dove Hunt Foundation. Our reserve Division II champion belt buckle was donated by Ben and Terry Brown. Once again, thank you so much to these sponsors for providing these belt buckles for these exhibitors.
Well, good morning, Hays County Livestock Show watchers. We sure appreciate you tuning in to here to stockshow.live. Just wanted to thank you for being a part of this morning, and thank you for supporting these students and these athletes that they're showing off today. And thank you to our sponsors, especially for making all this possible. It took us a little bit to get going this morning, but things are starting to come around. Hope to add a couple more camera angles for you throughout the day and as the other shows come in as well. So thanks for your patience. Sorry about all the audio issues we had when we first got rolling, but I think most of it's ironed out now, and we'll get going with, let's see, what we got here. Meat Goats Division 3, Class 7. So here we go with that. I'll turn it back over to the show. Thank you, guys.
Okay, I've been asked to announce they're missing an exhibitor named Hampton and Aylshire in the rabbit barn. If your name's Hampton and your name is Aylshire and you have a rabbit entered, you need to go to the rabbit show. This will be first call, Class 8 Market Goats. First call, Class 8 Market Goats. This will be second call, Class 8 Market Goats. Second call, Class 8 Market Goats.
A pretty interesting class to sort through here because I think there's one of every kind up here on the top. The one that I'm gonna choose to win here is one that I think just dominates the class from a stoutness and power standpoint. I think he's the most opened up underneath. He's the boldest bodied. He's the biggest ended. He's one that's just the most genuine in terms of every aspect, every angle that you look at him. I think he just reads the truest and most honest in all those factors. Now, maybe I'd like to make him just a notch bigger in his kind. From a maturity standpoint, that's where the 1 and second starts to gain a little ground because he's a little taller up front. He's a little longer necked, a little flatter shouldered. But behind that, he reads a little flatter in terms of the upper part of his forerib. Probably doesn't open up with near as much power. I just like that one to be a little further along in terms of his finish as well to go ahead and rival the winner. The yellow and white paint that comes out next, I think has the same kind of squareness and width that the class winner does. He's opened up underneath. He's maybe the tallest fronted of anything in the top three. So neat up there through the front third of his body. It just when I start to work back from there, of the top three, he easily ranks third in terms of power and muscle. So that's just where I left him. The one that comes out in 4, I think, makes a nice practical kind of market goat that has some balance and proportionality from the side. Just not in the same league in terms of just power parts as the 3 that are ahead of him. But a nice class nonetheless. Congratulations to all of you.
Okay, this will be last call. Last call for Class 8 market goats. Last call, Class 8. Your results from Class 7. 8th place, Max Cheshire, Wimberley 4-H. 7th place, Riley Coco, West San Marcos 4-H. 6th place, Bailey Wright, Wimberley 4-H. 5th place, Presley Giesen, Wimberley FFA. 4th place, Michaela Verver from Johnson FFA. 3rd place, Stormy Cunningham from Dripping Springs FFA. 2nd place goes to Kylie Davey from the Buda 4-H. And your class winner out of Class 7 market goats belongs to Stormy Cunningham from Dripping Springs FFA. We will now have Class 8 coming into the ring. There are 10 entries in that class. This will be second call, Class 9 market goats. Second call, Class 9 market goats.
A nice class here and two totally different kinds up here on the top. I'm going to go with the one here again that from a functionality and build standpoint, I'm just more sold on. I just like this one a notch more in terms of the way that his shoulder and knee lays in. I think he's more appropriate in the bend to his hip and hind leg. When you step on either end of that one, he's easily the most opened up of anything in class. So he's got build, he's got balance, he's got bulk, makes a nice place to start. Now, the problem is the one second just dominates in terms of just terminal shape. When you get your hands on that one, just absolutely creased up, hard muscled, all those things that you love. Honestly, though, it probably may start to work to a disadvantage. He's a little more raw back there. He's a little more raw back there, right where he hooks from his loin back into his hip, a little rougher in that transition. I'd probably like to see that one with just a notch more fat cover, just to smooth him up as we step off to the side of him. Here again, like I said, may like to just relax that one in the way he operates in his hock and pastern as he goes for me. But I think the one that's still got quite a bit of terminal merit. The doe that comes out here next is just one that sorts to third in terms of practicality, opened up in terms of her center body, bold ribbed, but just a little plain shaped compared to those that are ahead of her. We work down to the goats here in 4 and 5. I think they're two that are both extremely wide, extremely opened up, extremely practical, kind of easy feeding market goats. Just don't have all the bells and whistles when we step off to the side and watch those things motor about the ring. Nice class of goats. Congratulations to all of you.
This will be last call for Class 9 market goats. Last call, Class 9. Results from Class 8. 10th place, Annie North at Jack Hayes FFA. 9th place, Porter Price from Dripping Springs FFA. 8th place, Jake Wright from Wimberley 4-H. 7th place, Abigail Wymore from Wimberley 4-H. 6th place, Adrian Lopez, Johnson FFA. 5th place, Lillian Sandoval, Wimberley 4-H. 4th place, Ella Sandoval, Wimberley 4-H. 3rd place, Trent Henry, Dripping Springs 4-H. 2nd place, Kellen Embry from Dripping Springs FFA. And your class winner out of Class 8 goes to Cameron Cunningham from the Dripping Springs 4-H. We will need first and second place goats out of Class 7 and Class 8 at the conclusion of Class 9 for the Division III Champion Drive. Class 9 will be entering the ring now. We have 7 entries in that class. For the Division III Champion Drive, we will need Stormy Cunningham and Kylie Davey out of Class 7. We will need Cameron Cunningham and Kellen Embry out of Class 8. And then our first and second winner out of Class 9, which is to be determined.
A nice pair that we've got up here, and they're totally different in terms of their type and kind. The one that I'm going to use is the one that I'm just more comfortable with in terms of his skeleton, one that I think covers the ring just a notch more true and genuine in the way that he uses his feet and legs. Now, when you step off to the side of him, I think he's one that's a little neater there at the base of his chest and shoulder. I think a little longer and higher tying in terms of the way that he lays his neck above his blade there. I think he's more appropriate in the length of his blade and just a little smoother from there back, especially as we study him back into his transition from his loin into his hip. Now, that's not to say that there's not a lot of merit in the one that rides in second here, because I think in terms of stoutness and power, I'll give that one a nod. That one's a little more cracked open underneath, probably leaves you just a little wider as he goes. But for me, like I said, that one's just configured a little different up there to the front third of his body. I'm just like that one to be a little smoother and higher tying in the way that his neck lays into the top side of his shoulder. He wants to get to a little longer and the length of his blade from the top side to the point of his shoulder. And then when that one hooks up back from his loin into his hip, I just like to smooth him up in that regard just a bit. The one that comes out in 3, I think has plenty of terminal shape working down the top side of his skeleton. Just wants to get a little too easy there in his spine. Just not nearly as neatly put together, perhaps, as the 2 that are ahead of him. Extremely long-bodied one that we got here to ride in 4. Just kind of runs out of gas from a power and punch standpoint. Just like to crack that guy open just a little bit wider for me to really tie into. Nice class with a good pair up there. Congratulations to all of you.
All right, results from Class 9. 6th place, Adrian Lopez, Johnson FFA. 5th place, Nolan Moore, Buda 4H. 4th place, Trace Hunt, Wimberley 4H. 3rd place, Jack Bogan, Dripping Springs 4H. 7th place was Lily Aylshire, excuse me. 2nd place belongs to Morgan Hernandez from the Buda 4H. And 1st place winner is Madison Clark from Johnson FFA. Who? Yeah, I'm fixing to call them out here. Okay. All right. We need, out of Class 7, we need Stormy Cunningham and Kylie Davey. Everybody here? All right. Out of Class 7 winner is Stormy Cunningham. Class 8 winner is Cameron Cunningham. And Class 9 winner is Madison Clark. 2nd place out of Class 7 is Kylie Davey. 2nd place out of Class 8 is Kellen Embry. And 2nd place out of Class 9 is Morgan Hernandez as they enter the ring for the Division III champion and reserve champion drive. This will be first call for Class 10 Market Goats. First call, Class 10. This will be second call, Class 10, Market Goats. Second call, Class 10, Market Goats.
Oh, we got out here in this third division, and I think it's kind of a sort the way you like them out here on the front. There's one of every kind. I'll kind of describe them for you a little bit. The one out of the first class is easily the most powerful. I think the one that's the most opened up, the stoutest down low, the boldest bodied, the biggest ended, has all those EST terms and when it comes to power. Maybe that one from a build standpoint is not exactly ideal. Maybe like to see that one just a little bigger in his kind. Maybe like to flatten that one out in terms of his top line. Probably like to just smooth that one up in his skin texture just a little bit for me to really tie into. But one that just has plenty of power that a guy could tie into. The class winner out of your middle class there is one that probably matches in terms of stoutness and power. He's one that's a little more proportional in his underline. Makes a strong case when you step off to the side of him. Maybe not as powerful as the one just ahead of him, but one that I certainly think has more than enough for me. The one out of the heaviest class, I think from a skeletal and build and design standpoint, he's the one that I can tie into the most from the side. The question is, does that one have enough? Is he powerful enough? And that was kind of the debate there within that last class. I sided with him within that particular lineup because there's just a little more smoothness, a little more proportionality there from profile. But I find myself asking, does that one really have enough? I think for me it kind of comes down to a couple of them out here. I'm going to go show you the one that I like. I probably just built the most ideal in terms of the way I like them, but has some added power to match. I'll get you a champion reserve, but congratulations to all of you.
Okay, your Division 3 winner comes out of Class 8. That is Cameron Cunningham. And your reserve champion Division 3 comes out of Class 9. That's Madison Clark. Congratulations. Those two will be coming back for the Grand Champion Drive at the conclusion of Division 4. Our Division 3 champion belt buckle is sponsored by Jeff and Kim Dodd. And our reserve Division 3 belt buckle is sponsored by the Steinecke family. We thank those sponsors very much for their support and appreciate the donations of the belt buckles. At this time, Class 10 will be entering the ring. This will be first call, Class 11, Market Goats. First call, Class 11, Market Goats.
No, I think a pretty nice place to start here in this particular lineup. And while he's not exactly perfect in terms of the way that he uses his hind leg, I think that one's plenty sound enough for me. And it's the other parts of him that make me want to tie in. I think from a balance standpoint, he's easily the one that's the most proportional, especially in terms of his underline. You get your hands on him, he offers the most terminal shape down the top side of his skeleton. Like I said, I think he reads with the most balance, the most shape, makes a logical place to begin. The one that comes out in second may have more total volume of muscle than the class winner, especially when you step right in behind him. That thing's working a lot of shape there and a lot of mass as you look at him from behind. For me, he's just a little deeper. He's a little rounder there in the lower part of his shoulder, just not nearly as tucked up and neat in terms of his look from the side as the one that's directly ahead of him. Now there's a big stout yellow-headed one that rides here in 3, and love the foot size and bone and natural skeletal width and dimension that this one offers. He just strikes me as the plainest of the top 3. You get your hands on him, he's a little looser and thicker in terms of his skin. Touches a little plainer as well to match his look. Some goats that we ride down here in 4, 5, and 6. We just like to modify most of those things from a structural standpoint to go ahead and match these guys that are up here towards the top. Nice class again. Congratulations to all of you.
All right, this will be last call for Class 11. Last call, Class 11 market goats. We have 7 entries. Results of Class 10. 6th place, Isla Wymore from Wimberley 4-H. 5th place, Annie Novak from Wimberley FFA. 4th place, Lillian Sandoval, Wimberley 4-H. 3rd place, Michaela Verver from Johnson FFA. 2nd place is Lacey Holloway from Lehman FFA. And your class winner out of Class 10 goes to Quincy Raines from Dripping Springs 4-H. Class 11 should be ready to come in the ring.
Well, while we're waiting a minute here, let me show you also what's going on over at FBG.live. We've got the rabbit show going on over there. Quite an extensive show at that, too. But if you get a chance, maybe switch over after the goat show and check on the rabbits, see how they're doing. But again, we appreciate you tuning in to the Hays County Livestock Show for your support of these youth, their families, and their athletes. And hope you're enjoying the show. We're going to get right back over to the goats now as we start the class Division 4, Class 11. So let's get to that.
This will be first call, Class 12 market goats. First call, Class 12. I've been asked to announce that the lamb classes are broken and posted up in the front entryway. In the front entryway of the barn, if you're coming in from the parking lot up by the restrooms, they are posted on the wall up there. So the lamb classes are posted on the wall.
Now this red shoulder one up here makes it a quite easy place to start, and I really love this one from his hip forward. I think this one's so tall up front. He's so neat-necked and flat-shouldered, blends it into an extremely round rib cage. You get your hands on that one, he easily dominates the class from a terminal shape and mass standpoint. He's probably the freshest one that we've touched all day. Just offers the most crease and shape up high. Now, I love how big pin that one is when you step in behind him. He's extremely wide and sets him down real square as he goes away. When we step off to the side, if I'm going to change that one, I'd like to pick him up in his tail head just a notch. I'd like to just take the angle of his hock down just a hair. It's a little sharp there to the backside of his hock for my own personal preference, but an awfully good one that deserves to win this class. In terms of just sheer power parts, the 1 and 2nd's got to find his way towards the top. He's cracked open wide. He's big-footed. He's bold-bodied and big-backed. For me, he's just too short and steep out of his hip. It just doesn't really get out and go. He's a little plainer there in the lower third of his body. Just like to tidy that one up, make him a little neater to look at. Big, long, extended one here that comes out in 3. Love how tall-fronted and flat-shouldered. Just really proportional that one is from his shoulder there to the backside of his hip. Just kind of runs out of gas power-wise compared to 2 ultra-stout ones ahead of him. Some goats further down the line, just getting a little plainer, a little more mature in their look for me today. But a nice class. Congratulations to all of you.
This will be second and final call for Class 12. Second and final call for Class 12 market goats. Results of Class 11 are as follows. 7th place, Jack Bogan from Dripping Springs 4-H. 6th place, Marlena Moore from Buda 4-H. 5th place, Cheyenne Bacon from Dripping Springs 4-H. 4th place, Brooklyn Jacobs from Wimberley 4-H. 3rd place, Michaela Verver from Johnson FFA. 2nd place belongs to Cameron Cunningham from Dripping Springs 4-H. And your class winner out of Class 11 is Riley Steinecke from Wimberley FFA. We'll need the 1st and 2nd place goats out of that class back to the staging area for the Division 4 champion drive at the conclusion of Class 12. Our Division 4 champion belt buckle is donated by Zellhart Cattle Company. And our Reserve Division Champion 4 is donated by Hill Country Wastewater Services. We want to thank those sponsors for their help in getting these buckles together for these exhibitors. Thank you all very much. Class 12 enters the ring. We will need Quincy Raines and Lacey Holloway back to the holding pen out of Class 10. And we will need Riley Steinecke and Cameron Cunningham out of Class 11 back to the holding area for Division 4 champion and Reserve Division 4 champion drive.
A nice class to end on here, and certainly some differences even within this small class here. Up at the top, though, I'm going to use the one that even though he shows like an idiot and doesn't want to give this young lady anything and any help, I think he's the one that's the most ideal from a skeletal standpoint. When we step off to the side of him and this one finally decides to show, he's easily the one that's the most ideal from a build standpoint. Love his proportionality from profile. Love how flat-hipped he is, yet functional in his hind leg. He's so up-fronted, so neat to look at from the side. Then when we get our hands on him, while he may not have the most bulk, I still think that one has the most genuine shape down the top side of his skeleton. Now, just in terms of a power goat, the yellow-headed one in second dominates this particular drive. He's hugely opened up underneath, great-bodied, big-ended, big-time stout. That one's probably pushing a little far for me in terms of his finish. Probably a little overcooked today. He's starting to kind of break down in his lower skeleton because of it. Just can't quite support the weight down low. But dang sure a nice, big, stout, burly, heavyweight goat there. The one that comes out in 3, love his length, love his extension, kind of like the class winner. He just comes in a few more pieces, a little more up in his spine, a little steeper out of his hip, and more upright in his hock. The one in 4, he's one for me. Just a little overdone for me today. Too full underneath. Probably pushing a little too much grease down there in his elbow pocket. But a wide-made, stout, practical kind of goat. Good class to end on there. Congratulations to all of you.
Okay, the results of Class 4. 4th place, Lacey Holloway. 3rd place, Easton Davey. Second place, Cameron Cunningham. And your class winner out of Class 12, Madison Clark from Johnson FFA. At this time, we'll have the first and second place goats out of Class 10, 11, and 12 back in the ring for Division 4 champion and reserve champion drive. Out of Class 10, we have Quincy Raines and Lacey Holloway. Class 11, we have Riley Steinecke and Cameron Cunningham. And out of Class 12, we have Madison Clark and Cameron Cunningham. At the conclusion of Division 4 champion drive, we will need the champion and reserve champion Division 1, 2, 3, and 4 goats back to the ring for the grand champion overall drive. Okay, your Class 10 winner is Quincy Raines. Your Class 11 winner is Riley Steinecke. And your Class 12 winner is Madison Clark. Second place, Class 10, is Lacey Holloway. Second place in Class 11 was Cameron Cunningham. And second place in Class 12 is Cameron Cunningham. This is your Division 4 champion and reserve champion drive.
Well, a good way to end the day in the GOAT Show over here, and 6 very deserving individuals, and particularly 3 class winners that I think offer tons and tons of merit in this particular lineup. I'll kind of break down to you what I see and let you know kind of where my thought process lies. The one out of the first class I think is just a fundamentally nice goat. One that offers some width and dimension, especially there through the center part of his body. He's one you get your hands on him. He's big right there out of the backside of his shoulder. Now, as we work back, maybe I'd like to square him up at his loin edge just a little bit. And then from a squareness and soundness standpoint, probably like to give that one just a notch more cushion and bend back there to his hind leg to make him ideal. Think he's more than sound enough, but just a few little nitpicky things that I'd change about that one, but an awfully nice goat. The one that comes out of the middle class here, he's one that dominates the front line in terms of skeletal width, in terms of back shape, in terms of just raw power, really from every angle. My gripe with that one, like I talked to him in class, maybe I'd like to just elevate him in his tail head just a little bit, maybe take just a little bit of the angle out of that one's hock, just make him posture up and look a little neater, especially when he plants. Now, when that one gets out and goes, I think he reaches and grabs and does all those things extremely well off of his hind leg. It's when that one's planted that I get a little critical of the shape to his hip and his hock and how they work together. The one out of the final class is one for me that I like a great deal in terms of his look as we step off to the side of him. I'd call that one the most proportional when I step back from profile. He's one that offers tons of length and extension and stability there within his top line. That one doesn't like to show as well as maybe some of these other ones. Makes it a little more difficult for me to get the read I'd probably like to get on that one. He's one that from a power standpoint, he probably ranks 3 within this lineup of goats on the front line. But I did like that one's build and balance. And when that thing finally decides to show, he does give you a good look from profile. I think for me, you have to ask yourself, where's the greatest gap in quality? Does it lie between some things that we'd like to modify structurally? Does the big gap lie in terms of power parts, body, and just overall dimension up high? I think for me, the greater gap here probably lies from a power and productivity standpoint. The one out of the middles will be your champion. The heavy will be your reserve. Congratulations.
Okay, your Division 4 champion goes to Riley Steinecke out of Wimberley FFA, and your class and your reserve Division 4 comes out of Class 12 Madison Clark. At this time, we will need champion and reserve champions out of Division 1, 2, 3, and 4 back to the ring for Grand Champion Drive. All right, we need out of Division 1 class champion, or Division 1 champion was Megan Hernandez, and reserve champion out of Division 1 was J.W. Hernandez. Division 2 champion was Quincy Raines. Reserve champion was Morgan Hernandez. Division 3 champion was Cameron Cunningham. Reserve champion was Madison Clark. And out of Division 4, your champion was Riley Steinecke, and your reserve champion was Madison Clark. We need those 8 goats back to the ring for the grand champion and reserve grand champion drive. Once again, our Division 4 champion belt buckle was sponsored by Zellhart Cattle Company. Big thank you to them. And our Reserve Division 4 champion buckle was Hill Country Wastewater Services. Thank you all so much for your support of these youth. The goat showmanship order will be seniors, intermediates, juniors, and then clovers. That's seniors, intermediates, juniors, and then clovers. In the ring at this time, representing Division 1, we have Megan Hernandez as champion. Division 2, Quincy Raines, Division 2 champion. Division 3 champion, Cameron Cunningham. And your Division 4 champion, Riley Stanicky. Reserve champion Division 1 is J.W. Hernandez. Reserve champion Division 2 is Morgan Hernandez. Reserve champion Division 3 is Madison Clark. And reserve champion Division 4 is Madison Clark. At this time, Mr. Hoffman will select our grand champion overall goat and our reserve grand champion overall goat for the 2022 Hays County Goat Show. The sponsor of our grand champion overall market goat this year is Ozona Bank. And our reserve grand champion market goat buckle is sponsored by Rippey Ranch Supply, Pug and Janet Rippey. Thanks so much to those sponsors for producing those buckles for us. Thank you.
Oh, well, first of all, it's been a great pleasure of mine to get to come out today and sort through the goats. It's been a lot of fun. I think the quality's been extremely high, and I'm really pleased with the lineup of 8 that I've got out here. I think it really comes down to a few different things here on the front line for me today. And like I said when we started, I won't promise you they'll all look the same. I never do, because I think that quality comes in different types and kinds, and it's going in and finding the animals that are the most ideal in terms of their build, the ones that are the hardest to make, the ones that are the most unique, and that's where we've got to lay our priorities. I'll break down this front line for you and tell you kind of what I see, and so you can at least know my thought process. The one out of the first division here, I think when we stand them off to the side, that one's as neat made as anything that we've got in class. Just from a sheer proportionality standpoint, I think that one maintains himself the most relaxed in his angles. I think that one's extremely proportional from the side. When we get our hands on that one, that's where I start to discount that thing. I'd just like to firm that one up down the top side of his skeleton. I think as that one matures, he'll get extremely, extremely good. Love that one's build and balance today. The one that comes out of the second division here, I think in terms of terminal shape, he may drive the bus when we get our hands on him. That one is creased up, square, just extremely firm and fresh. Love that one on the touch. Probably skeletally on the front line, that one probably ranks 4th. Little upright in his shoulder, little rocked forward in his knee. Never really gets comfortable in the way that he uses his hock. But I think that one's got to be in here because he still maintains some proportionality and balance. And like I said, love that one when I get my hands on him. The one that comes out of the third division, he's extremely stout and powerful down low. He's one that's bold in his chest. He's round in his rib design. He's one that offers some proportionality and look as we step off to the side of him. I probably like that one the best when we set him into motion. Think he utilizes his hock and his pastern probably the best of anything within this particular lineup. His problem is he probably ranks 4th in terms of handling quality. I think he may have the second most mass out here shape-wise. That one leaves me just questioning just a hair if he's got enough shape working down the top side of his skeleton. I think it's probably because he's the furthest along in terms of his finish. Just needs to tone up just a little bit. But like I said, he's the one I probably like the best when we get him on the move in terms of the way that he uses his feet and legs. The one out of the heaviest division here, I just talked about him a minute ago. He dominates from a skeletal width and body and just back shape standpoint. That one easily has the most out here. The big gripe here again is that one's hip and hind leg good enough. He's a little short and stubby in the way that his tail sits down, a little sharp in the angle of his hock. I've kind of told you what I like about each and every one of them. It gets extremely close because I think they've all got pieces to win out here, and I think they've all got some holes. I'll go show you the 2 that I like the best, but congratulations to all of you today.
Your grand champion goat from 2022 Hays County Market Goat Show goes to Miss Cameron Cunningham out of Division 3. And your reserve grand champion goes to Megan Hernandez out of Division 1 from Buda 4-H. Congratulations to all these exhibitors. Thank you all very much for putting on a great show and bringing quality animals to the show. At this time, it will be first call for senior showmanship. First call for senior showmanship.
Well, friends, while we have a minute, I want to give a special thanks to all of our sponsors: Ranch 1111, Germania Insurance, Kindred Hospice, West San Marcos Dove Hunt, Prestige Gunnet, Work Quest, Lamar and Amber Crossland, Dr. Glenn and Mary Lou with the Rydell Scholarship, Joe and Chris Burke. Also want to thank PMI, Pipe Steel Supplies, Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, Independence Title, Cunningham Orthodontics, Bentley Firearms and Indoor Range, Capital Farm Credit, and Ozona Bank. And last but not least, we also want to give thanks for Jim and Peggy Jansen for Southwest Erectors, Texas Beef Initiative, and Odell Equipment. These are our sponsors of our Hayes County Youth Livestock Show, and we special thanks to them and all that they're doing. Well, sit tight. We're about to start the senior showmanship for the meat goats. Matter of fact, why don't we get right to that?
Okay, senior showmanship should be lined up. Senior goat showmanship, line up, please. Then we will have intermediate, then junior, then clovers.
Showmanship is easily my least favorite thing to have to judge because you force me to judge someone's kid, and as a dad, that's a hard thing to do. But when you're forced to come out here, you have to ask yourself, and as a breeder, this is how I approach the showmanship thing. As you go in there and you ask yourself, if you had to send your best one in the ring that you raised all year, which kid do you want toting it in the ring to give you the best opportunity to win? That's kind of how I approach the showmanship deal, and because I do think showmanship is one of the most important, if not the most important thing in the entire show project, because you got to have somebody out there that can get it done to have the kind of success as me personally as a breeder as I'd like to have. So that's kind of how I approach the deal, and I encourage all you younger kids, always watch these older kids and see what they do, because they're the old pros that they've put in the hours and know the ins and outs. Here again, I think showmanship is doing the most with the least, being the most nonchalant but yet intentional with your movements to highlight your project. I think there's 2 or 3 of them out here that are in serious contention. I'm going to spin around one more time, look at them, and I'll go grab you a champion showman. But congratulations to all of you. You did a nice job out here today.
Second call, intermediate showmanship. Second call, intermediate goat showmanship. Your senior champion showman is Miss Riley Steinecke from Wimberley FFA. That concludes our senior showmanship. Thank you very much, exhibitors. This time we will line up the intermediate goat showmanship. Be headed to the ring. Intermediate goat showmanship. Juniors, be thinking about it. Junior showmanship follows intermediate.
working into the intermediate showman, and we've got a great big class here. And so it goes back. It gets a little harder to work through. And so you go back and you remember all the things that happened throughout the day, and you remember how these kids came in, because showmanship is not just about this particular class right here. That's all day. That's at home. That's homework. That's showing who puts in the most hours and is getting the most out of it. So that's why I can sort through this just a little bit faster, even though there's a large group of kids in here. I think there's 3 or 4 that really stand out, but honestly, there's one in particular that's just done an exemplary job all day, every time they've hit the ring. I'll go out and grab your champion intermediate showman. Congratulations to all of you.
All right, your intermediate show person for the 2022 Hays County Goat Show is Miss Morgan Hernandez from Buda 4-H. Thank you, exhibitors. Next up will be our junior showman, junior goat showman, be staging. Our senior showmanship belt buckle this year was donated by Tommy Dodd Memorial Buyers Group. Our intermediate showmanship belt buckle was donated by Jeff and Kim Dodd. We thank those sponsors for the belt buckles. Our junior showmanship buckle is sponsored by the Backyard Cowboys Buyers Group, and our Clover showmanship is also sponsored by the Backyard Cowboys Buyers Group. Thank you so much to these individual sponsors that help put this show on and help sponsor these belt buckles for these young people. Just a reminder, if you were a champion or a reserve champion division winner, you're needed at the vet clinic, which is on the back side of the blue backdrop around the corner behind the show supply trailer. If you were a division champion or a reserve division champion winner, we need you at the vet clinic for testing.
Great junior showmanship class here, and the future sure looks bright for the goat showman here in Hayes County. Lots and lots of future. You guys do a lot of the big things right. It just comes down to those who do the little things right. I think there's 3 or 4 young ladies in particular out here that are really, really in contention. It just comes down to the one that, to me, looks the most natural. I'll go grab your champion junior showman, but congratulations to all of you.
All right, your junior show person for the 2022 Hayes County Market Goat Show is Miss Megan Hernandez from the Buda 4-H. Congratulations. At this time, we will bring our Clover kids in, have our Clover showmanship take place, and that will be the conclusion of our 2022 Hayes County Market Goat Show. We want to thank all the exhibitors for participating. We want to thank all the parents. We want to thank our judge again, Mr. Hoffman. Thanks for being here and putting and sorting through our goat show and our goat exhibits. No. I said at the end of the Clover kids, we will be at the conclusion of our goat show. Not yet. So as soon as our Clover kids wrap up here with the showmanship portion, we will be concluding the goat show. We want to thank everybody again for coming out. Hope to see everybody out here Saturday at the auction. We'll have a big sale. Come see us.
This Clover showmanship's a lot of fun, and this is really what it's all about, is getting some kids out and getting them active. And that's what we want to do to continue to build this program As a dad with young kids about this age, it's a lot of fun, and it can be the most frustrating thing in the world as a parent. But getting them out here in the ring and getting them to have fun and getting them involved, this is truly what the program's all about. They all four did an outstanding job, but the young man up here at the front of the line is going to be your winner today. Congratulations.
All right, your Clover showman for 2022 is J.W. Hernandez from the Buda 4-H. Congratulations. And once again, that concludes our 2022 Market Goat Show for the Hays County Youth Show. Once again, looking forward to seeing everybody Saturday for the auction.